Mine isn't.
So we are in the wood goat year. Have been for 2 weeks already. And the goat is a social animal. They herd, right? And so we'll see a lot of that in this year. A lot less trampling underfoot stuff. A lot more everybody's gathered together and everybody's making decisions based on the group, right? Not the economy, not the future, not the past. We're making it right now. So gathering is really good. Right now, small gatherings, of course, because it's that time of year, you can do things small. But then throughout the rest of the year, we're gonna see a lot more where people are getting together in groups, and it goes well. People are gathering together for events or for political reasons or whatever, and it'll all go well. Things that they're doing will go well because that's the kind of year it is. For the dog's okay this time of year or for this year. But because the dog usually attacks the goats, it's kind of a leery moment, so the dog has to remember to just kind of patrol the outside and be a protector and not get too invasive in the group. Same thing with rats. Rats are no longer underfoot, right? They're not under hoof, but they're not a big social creature either. But they're left alone by the goat, because the goat knows them and expects them to be in the brush and in the grain and in places. And so, yeah, it's not really a bad thing so much as it's just not really the optimal thing. This is not optimal for the rats specifically, but it's much better than last year. So things are going to be smoother. Gatherings are really good. So Susan and I were just talking that this is the beginning of the year, and so like the email said, you know, we've got these little tiny plants are starting to spring up, right? Our yang is this little tiny plant starting to spring up, and so we don't want to just take it out and do stuff with it. You know, we've got to be careful with it. We've got to nurture it a little bit more. And so a lot of it has to do with small circles, right? And this time of year is very good for small circles. We've been sedentary for part of the year. You know, the weather is starting to warm up. The wind is churning. And so doing small circulation moves like rolling the ankles, rolling the knees, rolling the waist without it being too big, right? Rolling the hands and the arms. And so we're going to do some of those kinds of exercises. It doesn't need to be a really big move like this, right? But doing this kind of a move is very beneficial this time of year, right? Same thing with the waist. Once you get warmed up, you can expand it. You can do larger moves if you're used to it, like swimmers or runners or whatever. But just start off slow, start off small, and work your way up, right? Build up a little bit of steam before you just say, okay, I'm going to run 20 miles or swim 100 laps or whatever. So one of my favorite exercises revolves around, as always, Tai Chi. And so one of the Tai Chi exercises that we used to do back in the beginning of the class has to do with changing hands. And so the changing hands exercise is one hand comes across while the other hand comes around and out. And so it's kind of like you're doing this, right? We're going to start by looking at it as an upper circle and a lower circle, and all I'm doing is turning it, right? So try that, and then go the other direction if that's really easy. And then take your hands and switch them. And so this one's going to be on top because it's pointing down. This one's going to be down because it's pointing up. And then we're going to do the same circle. So we're going to start nice and small, and then opposite direction if that feels like it's working for you. Right? Does this look familiar at all? Yeah. Yeah?
Yeah.
Look at there. There it is. So, yep, so exactly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start in this position, right? And we're going to turn in and then come out. And we're going to flip them over, and we're going to do the exact opposite. Flip them over, flip them over and go around. Okay. So I'm doing this a little bit bigger than we really should be doing it. So let's look at it like this. So far, so good. Okay, now you probably noticed that my hands are moving about the same amount that my body is moving. And so instead of this being this great big hand motion without a whole lot of body movement, I want more body movement than I want hand movement. So I'm actually doing this. See, my body is rolling and the hands are just following. So far, so good. Right? So a lot of it's all happening right here, and the hands are just kind of letting it come out. We talk about this a lot. It's really about the intention of the energy forming action instead of the action drawing out the energy. Right?
Yes.
Everybody shake their heads. Okay,
Yes. Yes, yes.
good. All right, so
Yes.
it's kind of like that whole frisbee throwing thing, right? If I was to just do the body and very little hand, that's the idea. I want this whole, like I'm going to make this big whip happen, but I'm not letting it come out very far yet. I'm kind of curbing it and keeping it inside, right? It's a nice inside motion. Okay? So now the next exercise is the same thing, only we're turning it. So it's going to go this way. Right? So just like I have a wheel, and all I'm doing is I'm turning the wheel with my hands on it. And I'm going to turn it the other way. It's the same thing. So far, so good? Good. Okay, so this one comes from here just as well, only it presses down and out. Down and out. Down and out. So it's almost like it's just one roll or 1/2 a turn of the wheel. But the idea is to try and find it here so that it rolls out of the body's movement. It's not the hands, right? It's the body's intention, and it manifests in the hand. So far, so good? Okay, it goes the other way, so try this. So this can be seen as a lifting move, which is offering or giving. And then the other one is rolling down. So the hand rolls down, it turns, instead of being this way, it turns down. And that's a giving or placing. Good? Yeah, so the idea is that it's meant to loosen, clear stagnation, which happens during the winter time, right? Because we're more sedentary. We should have a good diet. We don't always have a good diet. And so there's things to clear out. There's some cleansing that can be done. And these little circles all manifest in here, right? So it stimulates the organs, provides movement that allows the body to then transfer fluids from one place to another in the body. It's smoothing, clearing, and cleansing, all just in simple movements, right? And this is the other reason why we talk about you don't just go out and run 10 miles or whatever. If the organs are stagnating in any way, if the food's not getting through the system, it's not going to be really good for you. In the email I sent, Lu Ming mentioned in his lecture for the New Year lecture that a lot of people think that when that first sprout pops up, you gotta go. You gotta get things done. You gotta really, set your mind and power into the spring. And he says, foolish people, it's a little tiny plant. If you snap it off, what do you got? You're going to spend the whole spring and summer putting nutrients on it to try and get it to come back. And for a human, that means coffee or stimulants or something, because you've broken off the young and it never matures properly. Where if you nurture it now and you mature the young now, then by the time you get into mid-spring and summer, you don't need coffee as often. You actually pop awake in the morning and, wow, I feel pretty good. Let's go do stuff. Let's get things done. And so it's very contraindicated for what the Westerners feel. I mean, for us Americans, it's you're always having steak and eggs. You're always having coffee. You're always drinking. Your night tonic before you go to bed, all that kind of stuff. And, the winter time is all about overcooked rice, what's left over vegetables from the fall that have now started to rot, and you have to scrape off all the bad stuff to find something to eat. And you're taking the new and or winter vegetables and you're curing them so that you can digest them, like cabbage, for instance. Cabbage is a real difficult one for a lot of people to eat. It just doesn't digest very well, unless it's either well cooked or it's turned into sauerkraut. It's fermented, right? It converts the fluids in it and it allows it to touch more channels of the body, which we need during the wintertime. Okay? So far so good? All right. So now we're going to spread the feet a little bit further, and we're going to go back to looking at this movement. Right? This rolling movement. I want to pick the hand that's on the bottom and I want to use my body to guide it. The hand on the top is just going to hover there and I'm going to go around it. Is that making sense? So you want to use your chest and your waist and drive the hand around. You want to feel it all right in here and not here and not in the arm and the shoulder. I want to feel it rolling from the waist, right? I'm feeling it in the feet, I'm feeling it in my legs, I'm feeling it in my hip, I'm feeling it in my waist. All right? So try the other hand. Top one stays in the center, the bottom one rolls with the waist. Rolling the body. Good.
It's a workout.
It's awesome little exercises are really beneficial. Okay, so let's take a look at what this exercise was. Right? So this really does feel like it's just my arms. And if I do it like this, it is just my arms. And so I have to hold one still, like I did before, and I have to roll my shoulder to make it happen. Right? So one hand becomes more passive, one hand becomes more active. You really want to focus on the rolling of the body and make that hand expand to make the energy move through the body. Okay, so now we're going to switch hands. So the opposite hand is moving. Good. And like I said before, on this exercise, you can have the hand down or you can have the hand up. It depends on what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on giving? Are you focusing on asking and receiving? right? So this is more asking, receiving. This one is more giving, placing, offering out instead of offering for ins. And that's another interesting thing that Lu Ming mentioned in his lecture. And that is there's really so much more depth to intention than Westerners give. When you look at the ancient philosophies and you look at the Chinese philosophies and you look at the Hindi philosophies, so many of them are trying to be in the state of mind that you want through your whole day, through everything you do. So if you're trying to get an answer, you ask the question in your mind in everything you do, and you see the answer in everything you do until you finally get it, right? And in the Western world, we just don't do that. You know, we expect it to be economic, and we expect it to be determination, and we expect it to be output, and we expect it to be, you know, all these things. And yet now we're slowing down and going the other way. We've seen the movie and the book The Secret, and what's his name's book, The Power of Intention, and you know, L. Ron Hubbard's had 2 or 3 books that are all about, you know, it's a matter of what you're expecting is what you're going to get. If you walk around with a frown on your head and you're thinking, oh man, this is so hard, it's going to be hard, you know, it's pretty darn obvious. But if you go around thinking, wow, what a beautiful day, you know, even the wind is amazing and the plants are starting to come up, well, yeah, then things are going to look pretty awesome out there all the time. So it really is this frame of mind that gives us something, but that frame of mind is constantly changing, which is why we talk about Taoism as being in constant cycles. We're in this constant frame and state of change, and it's a matter of feeling where that state of change is going so that you can be with it, right? You're floating in a river and the river starts moving and you keep going straight, you're going to get stuck in the mud, right? If you just float along and don't pay attention, you're going to get hung up in a log jam. And you know, you've got to kind of be active and be aware of what's going on and expect good things, expect positive things, and they will arrive. You think that there's negative things and you know, expecting things to crash. Well, when they do, don't be surprised because, well, you expected to see it. Okay, any other thoughts on that? No? You're sure? Okay. So what we're moving towards in the small circle and in intention for the spring is the nurturing of these little tiny plants, right? In the wintertime we talked about it being a candle. I've got this little tiny candle, I'm trying to keep it from getting wet, but I've got to be careful not to blow it out. Well, you can kind of think about the spring as being this great big candle with this huge wick in the center, and I've taken the little candle and I'm trying to light it. How long is that going to take? Could take a little while because that little tiny candle doesn't generate enough heat to get that great big wick started. So there really is this matter of really kind of nurturing that state until it starts to go. And then when it starts to go, stepping back and waiting for the heat to build up. How does a candle work? The wax is consumed, not the wick, right? So as the wick starts to get the wax hot, it forms a little pool, and in the center is really, really hot, and it's getting wicked up and burned. Well, if it's a really big candle with a really big wick, how big is that pool got to get? Pretty big. Right? But once it's there, what kind of potential does it have? Oh my gosh, you know, it's like you could cook on that for days because it's this huge pool of wax, potential, ready to go, right? And so we're kind of at that point where we've got the little candle and we're trying to light the big candle and it's starting to go, but there's this whole stage of patience right now, watching that little flame get bigger and bigger and watching the pool start to get bigger and bigger until things really start to go. And so, as I said, you know, Now is a great time for planning out what you want to do. Spring cleaning, clearing the body, getting rid of the thoughts of winter, because we don't need most of those thoughts anymore. I mean, we're pretty much not going to have winter anymore, even though we're going to have cold days, sure, change in weather, sure, but we're not going into the winter anymore. We're on our way out, right? Things are improving, will get warmer, probably not wetter, but we're hoping for more wet weather. And so that's kind of that idea, right? Everybody shake your head?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we're starting to look more and more at what is the movement going to be? How is that movement going to be? So our intention must be clear. What do we want to happen? Make a plan, find a path, make it clear, right? So that you know where you are on your path, on your way. These are the big stories for summer, right? We talk about this all the time. The idea is to have a nice clear path, not to be carrying around all this junk or dragging our coffin behind us wondering when it's going to happen, right? It's not where we want to be, especially right now. And so let's look at movement in the Tai Chi. Again, we're looking at these little tiny circles. Exactly. We're looking at these little tiny circles. We need to manifest that in the legs and in the loins, oddly enough, because it's spring. And so let's shift from one side, lift up slightly, move to the other side and sink down. We're going to lift up and shift sides and then sink down. So we inhale as we come up, exhale as we go down. Inhale, rise up, shift to side, and exhale as we come down. So now bring the hands in, so bring your hands in front of you, and as we come up, we want to bring it up, and as we come down, we want to bring it down. Exhale down. Inhale, bring the hands up, shift sides, exhale, and down. Now mind you, this is a real simple exercise like the Chi Gung exercises are. But it has this great potential to offer us so much in the way of strength in the legs, strength in the lower back. It improves lungs because we're in a stage where the lungs are starting to open back up again. We just need to keep them clear. Good. And then come to the center. So that exercise can easily be done anytime. A lot of people look at it and they go, oh, you're just doing lunges. It's like, well, yeah, but we're not doing lunges. I mean, we're doing this in a nice, relaxed, and methodical pattern because we're listening, right? We're at the stage where we have to pay close attention. We listen to aches and pains. We're listening to balance of the body. If I'm going like this, it's obvious, right? I can tell. But that means something's going on, and it's something I need to pay attention to. I need to check with my herbalist or my doctor and say, no, I'm having this feeling like I'm listening. Oh, well, let's check your ears, because, it could be a problem with the fluids in your ear. You may have picked up some conjunctivitis from a cold, and it's lingering in the ear area, right? And it's causing you to feel like you're, drifting off to one side. So this is a great opportunity to get connected with the body, to be more connected to the energy that moves around us and within us that helps to guide us, especially now that we're paying attention to it. It helps a lot. Okay, we're running out of time. Any questions on the movements? How about the season? Any questions about the season? Breathing. Everybody breathing?
Trying to remember.
Yeah, it's very important this time of year to try and remember what the summer breathing exercises were. Try to take a look at the moving exercises that we've done in the past and see how those feel and where in the body they are feeling to you, the way they say affect, but that's kind of an ambiguous term. But that breathing, how does it feel? Where is it coming from? How is your body responding? What kind of things is it telling you? Because this is that time. The body will be telling you if something's not quite right. You should hear about it, unless you're overamped with food or sugar or coffee. It should be pretty obvious. Okay, so let's do a standing quiet gong for, let's just do 3 breaths to start. So relax the body, bend the knees, flatten the feet out against the ground, grip lightly with the toes. Roll the hips under just slightly so that you can feel the back extend, the lower back kind of straighten out. Lift up the head and tuck in the chin, straighten the upper back and the neck. Turn the palms towards each other and pull the elbows out and back slightly to open the chest and round the arms. Rest the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth. Let your breath become long and smooth. And when you're ready, take a deep breath. Two. Three. When you're ready, turn the palms out, inhale, rise up. Take a breath at the heart and lungs. And guide the chi down to the dantian and the mun, middle dantian and the mun. Take a breath there. And press down through the legs to the feet. Take a breath there. A couple of small breaths. Feel the connection of the energy through the feet into the ground, like roots from a tree. When you're ready, palms up, inhale, rise up. Breath at the heart and lungs. And at the dantian and the mun. And at the bubbling spring points at the bottoms of the feet. And feel the energy filling the body, rising up through the top of the head, the life way plank, and forming a small tree or flower. And when you're ready, turn the palms up, inhale, rise up. Take a breath from the heart and lungs. And again with the dantian in the front. And the bubbling spring points at the bottom of the feet. Feel the body rooted in the ground and yet supporting a plant or lush canopy at the top of the head. All right, any last thoughts or questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Tim.
Enjoy the rest of the day.